Today, let's have a look at this straddle movement. So I'm going to be back in a straddle position here with all my weight backwards. I'm then going to transfer weight to the feet, and then I'm going to come forwards onto tiptoes. Now you could keep going all the way up to handstand would be the advanced version, and we can go no hands on the way back down, on the way back up. I'm going to progress towards those, but let's start off with easier variations. It's going to be better for you if you're newer to this type of movement or you don't quite have the mobility or that strength in the handstand position. Now obviously this starting straddle position is all about straddle mobility, so making sure that you've got good range through there. If you don't have it, obviously we need to increase that over time with stretching, but in terms of this movement, all we can do is sit down on something. Now when I sit on something, it's raising the hips up, it's making it much easier to get weight forwards. I can even bend the knees slightly if I need to. Whatever you're sitting on needs to be big enough to also put your hands on. So that's why I've got the step this way around. If I had it this way around, there wouldn't quite be enough space to get in here, and I'm going to be bunched up. So you're better off having it like this or having something that's longer in that direction. Then I'm going to rest my hands on it. I'm going to take my shoulders and my head that way as far as I can. I need to get them past my feet. As soon as I get past my feet, I can counterbalance. I can stand all the way up, and then I can transfer forwards. Now when I transfer forwards, I'm going to externally rotate the hands, so turn the fingers out, and then I'm going to push up and forwards, up onto tiptoes, and push really hard in that direction. So my upper back is going forwards. It's a bit planchy, so round through that scapular position, and that's where you should feel strong there and be able to take more weight into the hands and take weight out of the feet. Now a good way of looking at it is you can look where you get to on your tiptoes. So if you get to there, that's one stage, there's another, right up onto toenails. And the closer you can get your hip crease to your hands, the lighter it's going to be in the toes. The further the hip is back in that direction, the more weight it is in the feet. So for this direction, we want weight back in the heels. For this direction, we want weight in the toes. Now if you've got weight plates like this, they're really good because they're a big surface area and you can incrementally change the height. So if that was too hard on the step, I can add a plate to the step, and now it's going to be much easier to do that movement. If it's too easy, I can just start taking things away. Now one thing to bear in mind is as we go lower with this position, our legs or our feet are going to be coming wider apart. So we're going to be into a deeper split position. Now that makes this part much easier, but it's going to make now this part much harder because my hip is low compared to my shoulders. If my feet are closer together, the hip is now higher and it's easier to get into that position. If I'm in a deeper position, that's going to be heavier to get up in there. So you could run into an issue if you have great flexibility in your straddle position, but you're deconditioned or don't have as much strength in that planche position. You might need to do a bit of a hybrid between the two. So you would come out of your wide straddle position. So like this, you would come up, then you'd have to do a little hop, bring the hips higher, and now you could go forwards into that position and load it. And obviously vice versa. So if you're not so flexible there and you're working off a higher position this end, but you're stronger in your planche pressy position, you might go something like this and then keep the hip low by bending the knees instead of going wider because you don't have the flexibility, and then you could go from there. But obviously you're just going to work with what you have in terms of your conditioning on both sides. Now if we want to make this side go to handstand and we can't planche press, we could use momentum, and I'll show you that in a second, or you could use partial range. Now partial range, you need to be a little bit clever with your setup, and it will go something like this. So my straddle position would be there. I'm going to do the straddle up, then I'm going to step forwards into that position, and then I'm going to press up through that straddle, come down, jump back off, go back into my straddle up. So it's a bit clunky and doesn't really flow together as well, but that'll be one way of making the press to handstand part easier and still working the straddle flexibility, mobility, straddle up movement in a bit more of an aggressive way. I personally, with this type of combo, would use more momentum to help you up. So the momentum version would be straddle up, open the hip, and now a little bit of a jump to get you up into your handstand, and then maybe a slower eccentric back down before going back to the straddle position. Now as we start to get closer to the floor with this one, we're going to want to have to think about our hands. If I keep my fingers pointing forwards, especially when I go all the way down to the floor, so let's get this plate out of the way. So once I get to the floor, most people are going to struggle with their fingers forwards now, because without using a lot of momentum, I can't get out of that position. So I'm going to have to turn the fingers round, push the fingers underneath the legs. Now I lean forwards, it's much easier. We can go through there, go into the straddle and go up and back down. Now, if you're stronger on the straddle up position, this is very easy. You could turn the hands around, or you could go single hand, or if you have really good mobility through there. Now, it's not just strength, because it doesn't matter how strong you are in this position. I can't go up now because my feet are too far in front of my hips. To go up with no hands, I need to go into more of a middle split position and have my feet more in line with the hip. So something more like this. I need to really work on the position to get there. So more here. So now when I lean forwards, I can come up and then go into the press from there. This side is more about that flexibility, mobility. That side's more about the press conditioning. Now, if you don't have a press handstand or you're nowhere close to jumping or using the momentum, I'd highly recommend you separate that. Do your press eccentrics, follow a proper press handstand program. And I've got lots of videos and programs on that in my app. Links are down in the description. And you don't have to put the press work in. You could do this straddle mobility work by itself, but this is just another fun combo that I like to do. And remember, with both these movements, the down phase is much easier than the up phase. So the eccentric, you're going to be much stronger in, much slower, more controlled in than the concentric, than the up. So one way would be to go down through a harder variation, so like that, then using the hands to come back up. Then I could use momentum to take the up to handstand, but slow, controlled eccentric, back down. So lots of options with that one. A good fun one that's working, straight arm strength, straddle mobility. If you have any questions, requests, stick them down in the comments below. If you are interested in coaching, check out my website or my app, and I'll speak to you in the next one.